Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is gaining a lot of ground. And because of that, I think it's only fair that we give her a true shake under the limelight.
Yeah.
She is doing really well in New Hampshire. She's doing really well in Iowa. She has overtaken DeSantis as the number 2 in nationally. She's really become the top dog here. And it says a lot. What?
Well, not the top dog.
Okay, not the top dog, but Trump is obviously like,
the next top dog.
Yeah, Trump is like the sun compared to Nikki Haley, who's like a blade of grass, okay? And then Ron DeSantis is like the soil.
Yeah.
So here we go. Nikki Haley, she had an interesting week. She was in a campaign event at New Hampshire, and she made some interesting remarks about the Civil War. She was asked at a New Hampshire speech what caused the Civil War. And I think this should be a litmus test for every single politician. I think every time you see a politician, you should ask them flat out, what caused the Civil War? Every time. Because this will tell you exactly, maybe this will tell you a lot about somebody. Okay. So she says it was about the freedoms of what people could and couldn't do. And then the person responded and said, I noticed you didn't use the word slavery. And she was like, well, what do you want me to say about slavery? Well, first of all, I would like you to say that slavery was bad. That would be first. Like, out of all the things you could say about slavery, I would prefer if you could say it was bad. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Obviously, okay, so that's first thing. Secondly, the freedoms of what people couldn't do. To do what? To own people? That the freedoms that we're talking about? The freedoms of what people could and couldn't do? Or are we talking about the freedoms to own people? What freedoms are we talking about?
Did you watch the video of her response?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I did not.
Because
I'm assuming, like, you're saying she jokingly told the questioner he had posed a tough one.
Yes.
And then she's like, I'm imagining her being like, the freedoms of what people could and couldn't do. Like, that sounds like it'll play.
Dude, it was worse than that.
Really?
She went on for a minute and a half without saying slavery.
Damn.
This was only a segment of, dude, her response, you need to go watch the video, guys. She literally talks for like a full minute about the things about freedom, about different ideologies in government, avoiding the word slavery. But it's obvious that thing was about slavery, people.
Yeah.
Okay? But what makes this important is because she comes from South Carolina. Well, what's South Carolina? South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union for the Civil War. So she comes from a state that has a history that does not look down on the Confederacy as much as the northern states do, specifically New Hampshire, which is as like, I don't want to say Yankee, but is as northern as you could get. I mean, that's like New England, so it's just interesting. And the first sentence in the South Carolina Declaration of Secession is as followed. An increasing hostility on the part of the non-slaveholding states to the institution of slavery has led to a disregard of their obligations, and the laws of the general government has ceased to affect the objects of the Constitution. So they literally say in the first sentence of their Declaration of Secession that
it's because of slavery.
It's because of slavery. And to be even more specific, one of the main reasons was because of the Northern's rejection of abiding by the fugitive slave law. A lot of Northern states were not abiding by the fugitive slave law. For anyone who doesn't know, the fugitive slave law was if a slave escaped from the South to the North, the Northern states had an obligation to capture that slave and send them back to their master's ranch. Plantation in the South. A lot of northern states just weren't abiding by it. They're like, we're not doing it. I think Vermont was one of the most famous ones. New Hampshire was on that list too. So it's so obvious that this is what caused the Civil War. It's historical revisionism to suggest otherwise. And this isn't the first time Nikki Haley has said something like this. There was a time when she was running for governor, I believe back in 2010 she ran for governor or something like that. Maybe 2014, it was 2010. She was elected governor in 2010. And to get the endorsement of one of the Republican groups down there, she basically did the same waffling. She gave pretty much the same answer. Oh, freedom, different ideologies, Again, avoiding the question.
Yeah.
But then this leads into something else. Why would she say this? Nikki Haley is not a white nationalist. She's not a racist. She actually has a great favorable opinions towards immigrants. She actually has a great opinion towards illegal immigrants. She said that we should welcome them with love and all that. And so she's not like that. Why is she doing this? It's because she's scared. It's because she's scared of the base of the Republican Party. That the truth is, there is no room in the Republican Party for moderates anymore. If she were to come out and say that it was all about slavery, she would have been hit on right-wing media about how she's woke, about how she's giving in to the cultural Marxist agenda to redefine America. That's what she's afraid of. And she knows that she needs some of the Trump base. And the truth is, a lot of the Trump base doesn't think the Civil War was about slavery. And that's or they don't think about the Civil War at all, and they're just told that it's not about slavery.
Yeah, or they hear that the Civil War is about slavery and they personalize the attack. They identify with it, right? Like they know already, they have the context that they're in the quote unquote basket of deplorables. And so they want, it helps when they hear the issue skirted around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps them because they also talk about all the time in schools about how they feel like white people are getting attacked in the building up of our history, of our national story. And they're like, the Confederacy wasn't about slavery. It was about something totally different. Don't attack all white people like that. It's not our fault. That's what it is. And that's what it boils down to.
So I love the comparison of like the arguments that people make when they don't want statues of Confederacy officials to be taken down. This is totally connected to that.
Exactly connected.
Yeah.
Listen, briefly about Confederate statues, it's like Nazi paraphernalia in my mind.
Exactly.
It's the same thing as having a statue of Hitler.
It's crazy.
If you're having a statue of Jefferson Davis, you might as well be flying the flag of the Third Reich. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That is just what it is. And when the Nazis were defeated in Germany, they didn't preserve their statues. They smashed all of them.
Yeah.
They made it a point to make it a public spectacle to smash all of them.
Yes.
And that's how I view it. I view the Confederacy and the Southern secession and their fight to own other people is just as deplorable as the Nazi fight.
Absolutely.
And that's how we have to look at it.
Yeah.
So after this, she went on an apology tour. She was like, oh, of course it was about slavery, as she has her new husband, Chris Sununu, sitting next to her. Chris Sununu is the governor of New Hampshire.
Not her new husband.
No, not her new. I'm joking. I'm making. Oh, I said that too
For a
seriously.
second, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
No.
I have a problem with sarcasm. Some people don't know when I'm being sarcastic.
No, which is funny because I know, like, I recently read something about her husband, so I knew that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, like it would make so much sense.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But like, there's pictures up of like Chris Sununu and Nikki Haley watching the sunrise in Kingston, New Hampshire, and it's like, it's just so
Good.
funny.
Yeah.